Hello my lovely Misfitians, and welcome back to another video. My name is Carrie and I am your watercolor misfit. Now y'all voted for this particular drawing tutorial. Make sure to follow and subscribe if you want to be involved in the future polls of deciding what videos I do next. But for this particular tutorial, y'all hands down voted for owls, for me to teach how I draw. So these are the owls, and last time we did foxes. These are the owls that we will be looking at and studying. This is my drawing sheet, my study. And I think we're either going to be doing this one or this one. They're very, very similar. So what you're going to need is just like a piece of paper. You can use just plain paper, or you can use your watercolor journal. I think today I'm going to be using my watercolor journal, and you're going to need several pencils. The red pencil, just like last time, will be used for shapes, and I'll pull up my fox one. So the red one will be used for shapes. The blue one will be used for details, and then the final outline, or what you really want to complete, will be the black graphite pencil. And of course you'll need an eraser too. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the very first thing that I like to do before I start a simplistic drawing is list out traits of the animal that I'm going to be drawing. These traits, basically, I have to communicate in some manner in order for the drawing, even though it's simplistic, to look like it's supposed to. So I'm going to be paring down these drawings basically to their more simplistic form, but I don't want my owl, let's say, to look like an eagle or to look like a pigeon or a seagull. I want my owl to look like an owl. So what things make an owl look like an owl? Well, the first thing that I've noticed is they're kind of, especially when they sit, they look like kind of short stacks. So I would say instead of like a regular bird, like I'm thinking of like a duck or a, I don't know why I'm thinking penguin in my head, but pigeon. They tend to have more of a lankier body, or even like a goose, whereas owls tend to be more on top of each other. They kind of have like a box shape. So that's something that I need to include. Their eyes tend to be on the front of their face. So their eyes are more front facing. A lot of predators, they have them kind of to the side, like this, kind of, which still looks good because we're in a 2D, very simplistic format. But actually their eyes tend to be more in the forefront compared to other birds, where their eyes tend to be more on the sides. Another thing is their feathers tend to, at least their wing feathers, tend to sit very close to their, to the top of their wing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So sometimes when I am drawing other birds, I will use like actual open wing details. And some of these you'll notice at the ends I have that, but over here, let me pull this up. So you can kind of see I have like wing details here where it's almost like separate feathers. But a lot of times I'll just add little feathers on top to show kind of the tightness of those wing feathers together. And this is because they can fly silently. So I want to kind of show that in my drawing as well. So these are three things that I really want to include in my drawing to make sure that it looks like an owl in my simplistic form. So let's go ahead and start with our basic shapes first and get into this. All right, so just like last time, I like to work part by part. I know some people like to just fill out all their shapes first, but for me personally, with how I draw, I like to work section by section because I feel like I can gauge better the proportions when I do that. So I'm going to start always with the head. And I'm going to do this a lot darker than I typically would so that you can see it on camera. But the first thing I do is just start with a basic circle shape. Then I'm going to break this down. This is going to look very similar to the fox. I pretty much start all of my animals this way. Break it down because I want his eyes on either side of this. And then I'm going to put his line a little bit lower for where I want his eyes to look. So I'm going to do this because I've been reading a book recently, How to Draw Adorable. Highly recommend that book. It's a really good book. And the reason why I like that book is because she basically said things that are lower in the face. So typically your eyes would go up here, but things that are lower in the face have a cuter look, which is what I'm going for. So that is what I want to do. So now you can kind of see this is my circle. This is where I've kind of laid out where my eyes are going to go. I'll go ahead and put these in with the blue. And then what I like to do for my little owl is I pull this line over. So I do a little curve right here. I like to do little hairs. This is where I like to put my nose. So I usually do 3 little lines here to signify hairs coming off. And then I'm going to do a small little triangle that comes down for his beak. Right there. And another thing I want to say is owls tend to have really big eyes. So in the past, you would notice that I would draw their eyes really, really big. But I like the style of their eyes being smaller because it looks cuter to me. So that is another thing that I changed. However, if you want your owls to look a little bit more, I would say, Tim Burton-y, you could draw your owls with larger eyes right here. And it would immediately change the look of it. So let me show you that real quick. We're going for cutesy here, but I want to show you a different style. So if you just make his eyes a little bit bigger, all of a sudden it's a very different look of an owl. So play around with different eye shape and even beak shape, head shape too. But I'm going to go back to my little cutesy eyes. Okay, now that we have the face done, let's go ahead and do the back of the head. So what I like to do is just kind of do a slight curved line that's following the back line of this circle. And then I'm going to connect to here. So basically we're going to make a little hair thing right there. We're going to connect this line to there. And that's going to be kind of the top of his head. And then we're going to take right underneath these 3. So remember we had 3 little lines here signifying like a little hair cowlick, I guess. We're going to take a line underneath right at the top of this circle and come down with a little curve. And we'll do 2 little lines there. So now he kind of looks like a chick with a little square head. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is the body. So what I like to do when I'm doing the body is another circle, and I like to think of it as kind of an 8. And depending on how long your circle is, that's how big his belly is basically going to be. So I want him a little bit shorter than this. So let's make his little body a little bit rounder. And you can kind of see now it's an 8 right on top of each other. And then we're going to start connecting. So this is going to be his little neck here. So I do a little line and then 2 little things to kind of show where his neck would be moving. Remember last time I said with the foxes, I like to use little lines to show where movement might be. I'm going to put also 2 little lines here, and then I'm going to connect this around just like so, kind of follow the outside of my circle. Now I'm going to follow this circle in right there. And I'm going to go around like so, and that's where his body would be. So now that I have that kind of figured out, I want to lay out where the front of his body or chest would be located. So this will kind of be his chest. This would be like his belly button. I know owls don't have belly buttons, but this would be kind of the front of his body right here. And the reason why I want to know that is because I want to place his wing in next. So this area right here is where his wing would be connected, right in this area. So underneath this top circle, I'm going to make kind of a tear shape. And that's where his wing would be. And then I need to add his other wing on this side. So I'm going to take another little tear kind of shape, put it a little bit in the front so it looks like he's kind of hanging forward a little bit. And that's where his second wing would be. So let's go ahead and start adding details now. All right, so since this is where his wing connects, we're going to do 2 little or 3 little lines here. And then I like to do a little feather hook right here. And then I like to do 2 little feather hooks down here. So it's a little bit hard to see, but there's a little hook right there. Then I go around, and typically I'll do another little feather hook right around in this area. And that's kind of the basic structure of my owl wing going on. Now, I'm going to erase a little bit of this blue line because I want to add some details to it. I'm going to add a little bit of fluff just in this area to kind of show the front of his chest. So I did a little bit of a hook, and then I did 2 little lines. Now I'm going to take this wing. Let's do a little hook there. And then I think I'm going to do a little hook down like this. So it's 2 little feathers just like so. And now we've got his back wing figured out. So the next thing I'm going to do actually is just use my blue detail brush and put in his little feet. So I know they have really big talony feet, but I like my things to be a little bit small so they look cutesy. So I'm just going to basically make an M shape looks like this. So that it's looks like he's holding on to maybe a branch. And then what I do is just follow this little circle right here and make the bottom of his little area where he's sitting. And then finally, we're going to do his tail. So for his tail, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. And then we'll have 1 come right down the middle and 1 there. So 3 little lumps, and then you'll have 2 right here and 1 there. Those are going to be his tail feathers. So we're going to follow around this shape. Follow around this shape. And that one. And now I think I'm going to add this little thing right here. You can't really see it, but let's see. See how it has a little arch right here? I'm going to add that up here. So what I'm going to do is come from my center line, go around just like so. So I'm making like a little bit of an eyebrow right now is what I'm doing. We're going to go around. Little eyebrow starts from the nose area. Typically you do like a little bit of lines there. We're going to pull it out just like so. So that makes him look a little bit more owly, I would say. All right, now let's add details. So this is the basic structure of your owl. I'm going to just erase some of the red lines so you can see. I'm going to leave them for learning purposes, but I'm just going to lighten them up a bit. That way you can kind of see where it's going. All right, so now let's add detail work. Right here to show their separation from his wing to his head, I'm going to do a little bit of just a zigzag. It's a Z. And then a little line to kind of show a side cheekbone kind of area right here. And then I'm going to start adding just little lines. I like to add lines to my owls. I think it adds character to them. And I'm going to do little triangle lines on the side of the head, just coming down. I'll do one up here. We'll do one coming up like this. Just kind of adding a little bit of detail work. And then I'm going to add 2 little feathers on that side. And next I'm going to add another little triangle line work here. Let's add another one here. I'm going to come this way, add some. And then I'm going to add lines straight down. And just kind of go across this time and then finish the bottom of my wing like that. Now let's add little teeny feathers. So let's add one here and one here, and let's add one in this area right here. And then let's add right kind of where this thing connects. Let me make this a little bit darker. I'm going to put 2 little lines there to show kind of where his neck meets his chest. I'm going to put a little feather here, a little one there, a little one down here, just to kind of make him look a little bit more fluffy and cutesy. Then I'm going to add lines once again, going straight across. And I like to make my shadow lines diagonal on this wing. So you can kind of see that. And this wing, I'm going to add a little feather vein down at the bottom. And right here, so 3 feather veins. And then I'm going to add little lines again to just signify the bottom of the feathers. And that's kind of how I draw an owl. They're really simple and really cutesy. That's probably why I draw them so much, because they're actually pretty easy. It's basically a figure 8 and you're just adding layer upon layer over and over. So if you enjoyed this and you like this particular style of video and you would like more drawing tutorials in the future, please make sure to give a like for this video. That really does help the channel and help me to make decisions on whether to continue a series or to cancel it. And also, if you want me to draw some animals in the future, leave some comments down below, and I'll start making polls in the future, probably in a couple of weeks, of new animals, and I'll probably take suggestions from down below. I took some suggestions from the last video, and it was a bunny, a mouse, an owl, and a dog. Owl, of course, won. So give me suggestions down below of other animals that you would like me to do, or even the same animals, and I will take those and put them in a poll for later on. So lots of love, y'all, and happy drawing!